Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video guys I have a special showcase to talk about a very important meta card which should be in your deck, especially if you want to go in platinum. Now this card is potentially a card which can grant you a lot of easy wins or get you a out of jail card effectively. We're talking about the Kaiju'S. The Kaiju'S, alright, which are very powerful cards, which in the first instance they would seem that you are doing your opponent a favor because you are special summoning these Kaiju cards on your opponent's field. Just to run it down very quickly, okay, and why this card is so good against, well, any of the series, this one, we're going to talk about the main three, which are these basically. Why are these cards good against unaffected cards, against negation cards, why they're effective against your opponent when he goes first and you go second, alright, so there's a lot of interesting things here. So, first and foremost, the way the Kaiju card works is effectively, you can special summon this card, okay, in attack position by attributing one monster that your opponent controls, any monster, okay? And this is the key aspect of it, because first and foremost, it doesn't target, so any monsters which are like immune to targeting, which there are a lot of them, of course. For example, this one here cannot target this card or any other wing beast monsters, which this card is pointing to. So this card is really powerful, right? Well, guess what? This card doesn't give a shit because it's not targeting any specific card. You can still special summon and tribute this card effectively to special summon it on your opponent's field. So you can, from the get-go, negate really powerful cards straight away. The second part is that this card doesn't care about your opponent's card being unaffected by monster effects. It doesn't give a shit. Again, it just automatically gets summoned. Now, the second, apart from actually negating these effect straight away from the bat and you can just special summon, the second thing is that it's not an activation effect. So for example, Nibiru, this one, you actually have to activate the effect from the hand, which can be then negated by a number of cards. So it can be negated by this card, it can be negated by many cards, and then, or Appaloosa for example, because it creates a link, so it creates a chain. This card creates a chain, and then when that chain is created, if you have Appaloosa above the Goddess or many other cards, for example we have Apex Avian or many other cards, I said this one as well, there's so many more cards which can have this negation, it can just get cancelled. Whereas with this one, it doesn't create any chain, and because it doesn't create any chain, guess what? You can automatically tribute your opponent's monster without the chain even activating. Just imagine your opponent has Appaloosa on the field, you're pretty much dead, because like, just imagine the card has, let's say they linked summon it with 4 cards, okay? It has like 2400 attack, literally. Like, you cannot do anything because every single time you want to do a chain, you want to special summon your monster, you want to activate your card, maybe this one, that one, this one, whatever card, Raigeki, it just gets automatically negated and you're screwed. Whereas with this one, you're just gonna tribute that monster, you tribute it on the field from your opponent's field, and that's it. You have free reign now to do your specials, your summons, and everything else. Now, there's also an interesting thing here, because if you have this, you should have maybe 3 cards. I mean, you can put more in your deck potentially, but if you put more, you're going to convert your deck into a hybrid Kaiju slash something else, for example, which is, again, not a really bad idea, but also it kind of would stop you from actually doing your combos as you really want to. So I found that the sweet spot is right now in three Kaijus, most likely. Let me know, guys, in the comments if you kind of feel that you can put more, like maybe 5 or 6, I have no idea. But for now, for me at least, I see that 3 is working pretty nifty and pretty good. Also, the crafting for these cards is really cheap because it's just rare, so crafting, you can craft them very quickly with no extra cost. And also, finally guys, guess what? You should also bear in mind that this card can go against you, so that's why you should have, I guess, a Kaiju card which is powerful than the others, because this Kaiju card can be special summoned on your field as well if your opponent has one Kaiju monster. So if I use this effect to summon and tribute his Appaloosa, and then I basically have on my opponent's field this card, I can then special summon without any tribute requirements this card straight away from my hand to my field, and this card has more attack, which means that I'm going to destroy my opponent's monster as well. I can see that you can actually play around and do lots of combinations which are basically not possible with Nibiru if your opponent, like I said before, has a negate monster on the field, because it would just destroy you automatically. Now bear in mind, there's something really critical on this point, is the following. It's not a guaranteed win 100% because of course, you know, your opponent can have like different effects and different cards, but from my experience, this having these kaiju in your deck has proven to give me especially the upper hand against the True King. So for example here, I'm still trying to craft this deck for Virtual World, but True King of All Calamities, for example, this card, right? This card is a pain in the butt. So just imagine, even before your opponent can actually activate the effect, because you can activate the effect and you have to detach one material, and then obviously all the monsters on the field are negated. You know the effect, right? Because this card is very famous, right? But the thing is that even before your opponent can activate the effect, because this card doesn't create a chain, I can just tribute their True King of All Calamities and then special summon my Kaiju on the field, and that is it. So if I wouldn't have this card, I can't activate Nibiru, because Nibiru can only be activated in your opponent's turn when he does like 5 summons or 5 special summons, alright, which is obviously very difficult. So in my turn, that's not going to happen because it's my turn, so he's not going to summon 5 monsters on the field. It's super unlikely. So this card really is like the second best thing to effectively Raigeki or Dark Hole, because you want to target specific cards on the field. You see that basically when people do lots of combos, they eventually end up with 1 or 2 monsters on the field, and those 2 monsters are really problematic. If you can get rid of them straight away, you'll see that you have free reign to then do your combos, activate your effects, and then of course negate other cards on the field, and especially activate some of your most powerful cards, like for example Raigeki or Harpy Sphere Duster or Fire Formation Tenki, to obviously get your, you know, your monsters out and now you special summon them, or maybe for example even Tri-Brigade Revolt. So all of these cards can only be really activated when you can get rid of the actual most annoying cards on the field. Otherwise you're gonna have a big problem with that, right? So this, guys, is just one example of how you can actually play this very nicely and have a lot of success, guys. Have a lot of success because, like I said before, this deck is effectively looking at negating your opponent's negates. So any monsters which are unaffected, any monsters which are, like I said before, immune to targeting, all right, it doesn't matter. Because this card, it's a tribute. It's a tribute special summon. It's not a chain creation link. This is the big difference where people in the meta don't really get, right? This card creates a chain. What you want to have in your deck as negation cards is cards which avoid creating chain. Even Raigeki creates a chain, and because of that chain which gets created, okay, you can then get negated by Appaloosa or get negated by other cards, like I said before. And because of that, it's a bit problematic. So hopefully this video, guys, showed you a very interesting way of effectively trying to beat your opponent in a very fashionable way, and also trying to find ways in which you can actually do a lot of damage to your opponent even without them knowing it straight away. And in their turn, they set up their board, they summon their special monsters, they summon their like most powerful monsters, and then bam, by just using a rare card, you can just dismantle their whole strategy. And many times they just literally rage quit because after like 10 minutes of combos and spending all their hand, boom, you get this, they're pretty much destroyed. So yeah, guys, that's it for today's video on this topic. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, of course, this tutorial. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you going to use the Kaiju'S or not? Is this something for you, or you feel like this is I don't know, like not really in your meta or your strategy, or you just feel like this is not really going to happen in your deck? Well, let me know anyways in the comments, guys. I'm really curious about your own opinions on this. And also recommendation, like I said before at the end of this video, you always have to keep in mind that don't put too many Kaiju's, because then you're gonna end up having a Kaiju deck. Okay, so my recommendation is maximum 3. If you wanna go 4, maybe you can try, see how it works, but I would say maximum 3 should be a really sweet spot, because you also have Nibiru, Raigeki, so that should be enough for counters against your opponents in your turn, obviously. But guys, that's it for today's video. Of course, I shall catch you later in the next upload. Bye.